And thank you for joining me on this glorious and amazing day where the sun shines so nicely right above the clouds, because it's not beneath the clouds for today. Before I go into details of what's the difference between someone that loves you or isn't codependent that looks like someone that loves you, what is the individual that's codependent? The individual that's codependent, which I would like to spend a few moments to explain, is someone that through their upbringing lost their deep self-love, self-dignity, does not really trust themselves, has a very hard time making decisions, and therefore they are codependent. They are dependent on what other people think and see. Some individuals that are codependent will kill themselves to get dressed in a certain way, to act in a certain way, to put on social media. And if they'll get enough likes, they will be flabbergasted and they are breathing with an oxygen mask and not their own lungs emotionally. When you breathe with your own lungs, you could go up to the mountain, you could be in the forest, you could be at home, wherever you are fine, because it's intrinsically, you have that mechanism to breathe. If you're going to carry this big machine with this oxygen, you always have to think where you could bring it, where you can bring it, because without this additional oxygen, you won't really be breathing well, especially, heaven forbid, if you have corona. So you're dependent on that machinery. Codependent are literally dependent on the world around them. And as a result, there is nothing that you could do for them, and I'll explain to you why. Because some of you might think, well, so if they don't have the confidence, I'll give them the confidence. I'm going to compliment them. I'm just going to give them whatever they need. If their parents didn't give it to them or they don't get it from themselves, I'll give it to them. That does not work, and I'll explain with an analogy. The analogy is each and every one is born with the recipe to make our own cake, a beautiful cake. Yet, we do not have, each and every one of us does not have our own icing. We need each other. So if the cake doesn't look complete, we go to another human being and we tell them, here's our beautiful 12-inch round cake. It's 8 inches high, and that person looks at you and says, this is awesome. And you ask them, can you please put some cream and some strawberries and blueberries and sliced kiwis, really make it look nice? And the person says, absolutely. And despite that you made for yourself that beautiful cake, the external individual, the outside person, or the person that you got to know, that's the individual that will enhance your cake. And it's great because how great we are, we know we need all 7.8 billion on planet Earth. Everyone, we need to learn something from everyone. We need a little bit of icing from everyone, a little bit of sprinkles, a little bit of strawberries, because we have the power to create the cake. But we are not complete with ourselves by ourselves. We always need help from outside. And it's beautiful. It's not that you're weak. It's just beautiful that we need each other. The codependent person is someone that believes, oh, I feel like crying. This is so painful. The codependent person believes that they do not have the ingredients. Yeah, hello, Mr. Little Chickmunk. Sorry. It's because, no, I'm recording now. I can't play with you. It's because their parents got it from their parents way back from previous generations. So they left their flour, the sugar, the water, the oil to create that cake. But they're fearful. They see everyone walking around with a beautiful cake. So they come to someone else and they say, could you put cream? Another person looks at them and says, well, they're lacking something. I see nothing there. I see no cake. I see no character. But I'm going to help them. By the way, the one that usually tries to help them suffers from low self-esteem as well, doesn't have their own cake, but they feel good. They're going to help someone, so they put some cream and some strawberries. An individual comes back because there's no cake there. It just looks sloppy. Keeping it room temperature just falls apart, and they go, you didn't spend enough time with me, and my cake doesn't look like everyone else's, and you make me sad. You make me sad. And you feel so guilty because you're the spouse that's meant to add cream on their cake, although there's no cake there. So you take the cream and you add another layer. But before you know it, because it's a room temperature and sometimes it could be a bit warm, it just falls apart. I mean, you can't just put 8 inches of cream. It just doesn't look the same as a beautiful solid cake when you add a 1/4 of an inch, a 1/2 inch of cream with some beautiful fresh fruit on it. No matter what you do to the codependent, no matter how much you give them, you could give them 5,000 compliments, you could give them all the love in the world. If the individual that's suffering from codependence and a lack of self-confidence and self-belief within their cake, within themselves, you could give them as much love and as much cake as you want. Thanks for joining, and we'll continue on next week.